Okay, good morning everybody, and thank you for participating in today's the Lemonade Project, Marketing Made Easy by, we've got Jody, owner of Red Hot Blue, presenting this today. As I've been saying with all these sessions, we'd just like to thank Local Buying Foundation so much, because they put together a fund for sort of when COVID started, so that we could sort of get funding quickly to look after our members and people who aren't our members, just like the sort of business, tourism, all those businesses. So that's just been wonderful. It's been, and people have really enjoyed this series. So this will be recorded like all the other sessions that we've had. So I'll put on our Mackay Tourism Facebook the link to the whole series, so you can use it as a library and go back and watch things as you need. If you've got anything you'd like to ask Jody, please put your questions in the chat box that's down the bottom. And if it's something that I feel that I need to interrupt Jody for during it, I will. Otherwise, we'll unmute everybody at the end and we can have a little question and answer session. So I'm going to hand it over to Jody right now.
Thanks, Chrissy. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it's tough to make time with everything that's going on, but I'm really excited to be a part of this. I would like to, as Chrissy said, really thank Mackay Tourism for inviting me to be a part of this series. I feel very passionate about our region, and I'd also like to give a big shout out to the Local Buying Foundation for making this possible. As Chrissy said, these recordings are going to be available so you can play them back and really get into some of the detail. But let's get started with the Lemonade Project, Marketing Made Easy. Before I do that, I guess just quickly, just a really brief little bit about me for those of you who don't know me. My name's Jody. As Chrissy said, I established Red Hot Blue 23 years ago here in Mackay, so very proud local, lived here all my life and a proud local business owner. I've got a team of 9 people and we cover everything from design, advertising, marketing, web, the social media side of things, so quite comprehensive, and also event management. And being a local business owner, small business owner, I do know how tough that really can be. And I think where the idea of this name for this seminar came from was, we've all heard that saying, turning lemons into lemonade. And I think, more so than ever, we have really been dealt a tough hand with what COVID-19 has served up. But you people in this industry, more than anyone, have really suffered the most. So we're hoping that obviously this series can help bring a little bit of perspective and just give you some tips to help you along. So let's get started. To kick it off, now we hope technology goes well. This is my very first webinar ever, so please forgive me if things don't go to plan. I've got a little poll here. I just thought to get things started, we'll have a bit of fun. I've got a poll. So I'm going to launch this poll, and if you can all just have a read and vote on this for me, please. I love it. I think we've got everyone in there. All right. Everyone's voted. A few people thinking. Excellent. Okay. I'm going to share those results. So 50% of you had a lemonade stand as a child, which is really great. I can see 33% of you were just too cool for that. So, and there's a small percentage that's too long ago. I feel a bit the same, to be honest. I guess what the point I wanted to make from that is that, and I too myself, as I said, actually had a lemonade stand. And I guess the point I want to make from that is, as a kid, I was super excited, got the kids from the neighbourhood together, we got the lemons, we got the recipe, we set the stand up, it looked amazing, we were eager and excited, but we had no customers all day. Partly that was because we were on the side of the road, a no-through road, so there was really no through traffic. And at the end of the day, we decided to get a little bit, I guess, innovative and start taking our lemonade door to door, which was, I guess, a bit safer to do back then. And I think we sold a couple of cups. So dismal failure in the scheme of things. But I guess the point I wanted to make with this is that product only gets you so far. And your location in the marketplace, which is what I'm referring to here, is absolutely everything. And without the ability to promote and market, you are doomed to fail. Even if you've got the best intention, the best product, the most magnificent looking lemonade stand in this instance, we failed. And so there was a few big learnings, I think, even as a kid, and if we look at the true basics of a lemonade stand, that we can actually apply to our business today. So there's some of the key learnings that obviously, I want to go through with you today, taking it really back to basics. I want to make this simple for you. I think often with marketing, it can end up being quite complicated, and that's where people get a little bit lost. So we're going to keep this really simple. So remembering that marketing does play a really important role. So I want to take a moment for you to consider your brand. And I think it's the thing that don't underestimate this. It is so important. And this is now a perfect time for you to revisit that brand. First impressions really count. And we all know that. We've heard that saying many, many times. But it is so true in how a person is going to perceive your brand. And it actually sets your potential customer up in the right or potentially wrong frame of mind if things aren't being delivered correctly. What it needs to do, what your brand should be doing, is mimicking the experience that your customer will receive. All too often we see businesses where their brand is so misaligned with what they're putting out there, the message, the look, the feel, the tone of voice, to then what the actual experience is. It really confuses a person. So you want to really cement your brand with what that experience is going to be. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that through this presentation. So I've got another poll just for some fun. All right, let's launch this one again. We're going to go about my brand this time. So hopefully everyone can see that. So how do I feel about my current brand? It's perfect, and I know our business is why. I know it needs attention, or I feel confused and uncertain. Okay. Everyone's in there, I think. Yep. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to share those results for you. So 50-50 here, which is great. That's great. I mean, great that 50% of you are on point and know exactly where you're headed. The other 50%, that's just as good too, the fact that you know that it needs attention. It's just as important to know and understand that you need to work on things as opposed to be oblivious to that. So fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that. Okay, I'm just going to end that. So let's talk about marketing and what does it really mean? It's this big umbrella word that often gets bantered and thrown around, but it's basically identifying and understanding your customer and giving them what they want, not what you think they want, not what you necessarily think is the best option there, but what they want. And that's why it's so important to really understand that person. It's not just about promoting and advertising your business. It's so much more than that. And it's why understanding that brand from that granular level is really, really important. There's never been a more important time, I guess, than right now also, to truly understand this. And you need to have a plan. You need to know what you're doing. So your brand is about building customer relationships. It's going to create brand awareness, which is really important. Even though you may not have been able to deliver your services, given what's happened with COVID-19, keeping top of mind for people is still really important. It contributes to your business. Now, at the moment, obviously, that's not necessarily growth, but to sustain what you can within your business is really important. and it delivers a direct message about your product and service. So as I just said previously, making sure that that brand and what you're delivering really mimics that same experience. This is why that's so important for people. Your plan essentially is your roadmap. You know, it's, as I've got here, it's like making your lemonade and having the right ingredients. Sure, you can throw things in there and hope for the best, but does that mean you're going to, you know, deliver the best product that you can? Possibly not. So have a plan and make sure that you're working through that, revisiting it. Based on the fact that we've had some challenges of late and what you may have been offering isn't available, then okay, let's relook at what those ingredients need to be and what you can deliver now. So what do we know for certain? I think this is a good place to start because it can all be a very overwhelming space. What we know with your clientele is they have been prohibited to travel. They haven't been able to holiday, which makes it really, really hard. We do know, though, that obviously with the restrictions being lifted, there's that 4-hour drive market. Road trips are possibly going to be something that people are considering. And because of the destination, that similar climate and landscape is the sort of people that we're talking to. So we're not talking overseas travel. We know that, you know, they may be coming from Townsville, Gladstone, Rocky, those sorts of locations. You've got a bit of a sense at the moment as to when they can travel. And again, you know, I know that obviously, you know, with all the conversations with the Premier and government about this bubble that they're talking about, there's still some uncertainty there, but there are still some ideas and plans of what you can do. The other thing too is that people still may be fearful and uncertain. This has been quite a concerning time for people. So I think that's important to just address and identify when you're thinking about all of the things that you do know that you can plan. What do we need to identify? Okay, so these are the things, it's like, what do you have that excites them? What demographics are you wanting to appeal to? Really, really important. And again, while you may have had an understanding of what that demographic looked like pre-COVID-19, there might be some different, a little bit different room to grow or change or pivot a little bit with what you have to offer now. What stories can you share with them? Really important. We're going to go a little bit more into storytelling and sharing that. And how are you going to do this? What's the plan going to be? Is it going to be testimonials? Is it going to be competitions? Is it going to be teaser? Really think about how you're going to actually start communicating with your audience. Really, really important part of it. So I guess I want you to take a moment and relive your most memorable holiday experience. Now, that can be bad or good, obviously. And but just think about, you know, the planning of it. I'll just go to this next screen. The planning of it, the journey to arrive, the landscape, the colours, the smells, the people you met along the way, the key moments that you remember. And they aren't always necessarily the big moments. They can be something quite tiny. Photos you took, food you ate and experienced. Really think about those things because they are all part of what builds that story that you're going to share, that you have to offer. And I want you to, I guess, think about some of those experiences you've had because that just helps to put yourself in the mindset of what your potential customer might be thinking about as they're planning their destination. You know, how do those things make you feel? I guess just going back, does anyone have an experience that they want to share? Is it people, when they think about their best experience, is it good or bad? Not sure, but I know for me personally, you know, some of my most memorable experiences are probably some of my most simple moments, my simple holidays that are just really magical rather than the busyness of the big overseas trips as such. Sometimes those road trips and the moments in the road trips are actually what are really wonderful. A mind map. And I'm sure we've all felt this way at times, possibly even more so at the moment than we ever have before. And I just actually want to check and see, just so that I can have an understanding, if I can go to this poll, mind mapping, launch. All right, so mind mapping. Has anyone used this method before when they're planning, thinking about their marketing? Never used mind mapping, or that you feel like that person in the photo? Okay, so we've got 100% so far, 2 of 2. Yeah, I feel a bit like that person in the photo myself at times. Okay, I think we've got everyone in there. No, a few more. A few more thinking about it. Okay. Share results. Rightio, so 63% of you, 5 of you have actually used mind mapping before, which is great. One hasn't, and there's a couple that feel like the person in the photo. Completely understand. Mind mapping is such an important tool to use, and we use it all the time at Red Hot Blue, despite the fact that, you know, all of the technology advances that we've got, the experience obviously we have with being in the industry and developing campaigns for clients. We always start with mind mapping because it basically helps to get all those ideas out of your head. It helps to consolidate your thinking. And it just sometimes gives you an opportunity to look at things from a different angle that you may not have considered before. So just as a very simple exercise to show you where we may start if we were to do something like this at Red Hot Blue for a client. So obviously holidays, fairly, you know, topical at the moment in people's minds, that desire to want to do it. So we might flesh out things like memories, scenery, fun. We hope obviously holidays bring up a feeling of fun. Road trip, I've put road trip in there because again, it's the relevance of what we're talking at the moment. And then we start fleshing that out. So, you know, we've got things like blue skies and open space, peaceful, busy, city, adventure, calm when we think about scenery. Memories, family, friends, photos, etc. I won't go through every single one I've done, but there is no right or wrong answer when doing these. And basically what it means is that, and sometimes it's actually great to do this, not just by yourself, but it might be bringing your team together, your business partner, to throw things down because everybody looks at things very, very differently. And obviously we just keep working through. When I was doing this, I actually, you know, got through some of it and thought, well, people are actually a really critical part of your journey, and whether that be from booking with travel agents or picking up the phone and speaking to somebody when you're looking at some questions you might have, and then actually on your holiday, the knowledge that you learn from, say, locals or people you may meet, you know, while you're out on a walk or in a cafe. So obviously we just keep working through that. And from that, it gives us a starting point as to what are we going to focus on. So what we typically do with this is we might say, right, okay, well, road trip is really going to be the direction we're going to take this in. And what are the other things that really stand out to us with the road trip, you know, and start building on those ideas. But it just helps to get all of those thoughts that are up here in your head out on paper. And it's a good resource to go back to also and revisit. So really encourage people, you know, to give that a go, and also, you know, to really think about the now, not what you may have been doing, but the now is what's important here. Remember, the landscape is going to be really, really busy. More so than ever, people are, you know, sharing content. They're on their social media platforms more than they ever have before. And I think I made a note here, Talita, who's with us there, that you shared quite a lot of data and stats in your presentation just about the absolute explosion. I think was it 15 million Facebook users, and there was a 70% increase in people being on social media, because obviously we have been restricted. We're not out and about doing what we normally would. So this is the form in which people are communicating now. So while that's fantastic in the sense that you know where people are looking and what they're doing and what they're using, it does mean that that landscape is going to be so busy. So the visual noise that's filling people's social media feeds is beyond what we've ever seen before. And basically what that means is everyone's going to have their lemonade stand basically on display. What is going to be the reason why somebody actually chooses your stand to come up to, or your stand to want to travel to? Really, really important part of it. I hope that's all making sense for everybody so far. Is everyone keeping up? Yep, excellent. Okay, great. And just, I guess these were some stats that I, downloaded recently too, and Talita would obviously understand this as well, is that these are changing all the time. So the latest one I got was 16 million Australian monthly active users on Facebook, 9 million Australian monthly active users on Instagram, which is 3.8 billion worldwide social media users. So that's just absolutely phenomenal. And I guess what's really important is that what you do has cut through when you're looking at those sorts of things. This is where you need to really change your thinking. We've been through a very different time, none that we've ever experienced before. And you really need to shift your thinking right now. It's not forever, but for right now, we need to be rethinking about what it is that we're going to go out into the marketplace with. People's exposure also through this time to innovation has been out of this world. And I don't know if any of you have been following any of the different social media channels out there where there's been like COVID-19 innovations. There's a webinar I actually follow every Wednesday night with Andrew Griffiths, who's one of Australia's very, very successful authors. And his webinar is let's kick this bug in the balls, basically. And they've basically shared every single Wednesday night just what people are doing and how people are reinventing themselves and some of those innovations. So what that means is people are going to be looking for something a little bit different because we've been so conditioned to it over this past couple of months. I just wanted to share with you a few of those examples, just to put some food for thought in your minds. So this one here, I mean, when you think about the fact that hospitality industry has been, hit so hard, and people, we love to socialise, particularly us Aussies going out and being able to have a drink. So this mask has a hole in it so you can sip your cocktail while socialising. Just the fact that people didn't sort of stop and were really determined to sort of go, well, okay, I can't, there's so many limitations on me, but what are the things I can do? And how do I step outside my comfort zone? And how do I step outside my typical offering? So that one's a bit fun. I actually think I wouldn't mind getting myself some of those. This one here, and you may have seen some of these that I'm sharing with you, I'm sure, given that you're all in the tourism industry. I thought this was amazing. This is in Sweden. They basically, this hotel owner they had 67 exclusive little pop-up restaurants. So each of the rooms they turned into restaurants. So again, unable to offer accommodation to people, but they were able to, if it was, a family situation, they were able to have a private setting where they could still experience what they typically, would normally enjoy. So again, just thinking about, I've got all this space, what am I going to do? How can I pivot in this time? And this is what they decided to do. This was another one. So this was Airbnb. And it was basically a virtual experience that they were giving people. And particularly they looked at, elderly who were very, very vulnerable during this time. So they did some cooking classes. They even did it, obviously, as you can see there, with some goats. So in that real country environment. You know, I guess we're fortunate here in our region, Mackay and the Whitsundays, where we have got beautiful big backyards where we, you know, can step outside. Whereas when you think of, I guess, people in cities and I guess across the other side of the world where they may be confined to an apartment space, to be able to have the feelings that are attached with seeing that beautiful outdoors, the animals, the cooking, those sorts of things, it just gave them something else to connect with during their isolation. And what Airbnb were doing, I mean, these were free, so they weren't making any money from this as such, but what it did was it's kept their brand front and center. Because one thing we do know for certain, even though through all of this uncertainty, is there will be eventually an end to this. So when that end comes, you want to make sure that you've had your brand and your presence has been felt by people. And that's exactly what Airbnb were doing here, was keeping connected with people. This was another one I thought was, you know, relevant given your industry. So Armchair Adventures, and it basically was encouraging people to share their travel experiences. So it was an app that was developed, and basically it was an opportunity for people to, again, connect with some of their experiences and share that to, you know, to the rest of the world, I guess. Not sure if any of you have seen this. More than happy to hear if you have. But this was, it's a hashtag I will travel again. And basically what this was set up to do is for people within the tourism industry to be able to register. The idea and what the campaign involved was to promote this to people to buy gift cards so that when people could travel again, it was an opportunity for some of those businesses to remain obviously viable through it. So it would definitely be worth checking out. As you can see there on that next screen, there were different regions that you could drop down and view, and across Australia and New Zealand. And then they also had some of those at home experiences as well. So people obviously looking at things where maybe not necessarily anything to sell, but again, keeping that brand front and center for people. So I thought this was a really great initiative. And again, another example of that real innovation that's happening out there. And it might be worth, you know, some of you actually having a look and checking that out. So I just want to, a lot of content that we're covering here. I just want to recap on some of the things we've talked about here. So know your audience, really, really important in this time. Again, that audience may have changed a little given what you are going to look to offer. Define your core message. Don't try and be everything to everyone, and don't bombard people with absolutely everything in the one hit. It will just confuse people. Style and tone of voice. And what I mean by that is, you know, if you're going to, I mentioned earlier, like, is it going to be a teaser campaign? Is it going to be a competition? Is it going to be testimonials? Is it going to be lighthearted? Is it going to be serious? Think about the style that you want to deliver to people. And again, that should try and mimic and align with what your brand is and what your offering is. Choose your medium. I know in this instance, it's most likely going to be social media is the platform you're going to use. Obviously, because like we talked about and like Talita mentioned, it is the place that people's eyeballs are on at the moment. But please be really, really mindful that just because it is an option that's very affordable for you, that your content really is considered. And tell your story well. You know, that mind map is why I really wanted to talk you through that, because that's where your story and the essence of building that story comes from. I think when you're thinking about, you know, what could it be that I pivot on, what else could I do here in that innovation side of things, you know, it might be that you could collaborate with people. So, you know, let's say somebody offers paddle boarding on the river, It could be that they're going to, you know, collaborate with someone where they have like a picnic lunch afterwards on the bank. So they organise, you know, the picnic baskets to be done with a business, a local business. It might be that you sort of say, actually, also we want to capture this and have it photographed or videoed. So it might be then you working with a photographer. So very soon, before you realise, you've actually got 3 businesses, 4 businesses working together, and you can draw strength then on each other and what you can offer. And it also means that your delivery, when you're going out onto your social media platforms, you've all of a sudden got a greater exposure because you're tapping into all of their connections and cross-sharing with each other. So, you know, when you're doing that mind map, maybe have a bit of a think about, who else could I collaborate with? And from what we've seen and experienced during this time, people are very open to collaborating at the moment. You know, I think prior COVID-19 and when people are busy, they're head down, bum up, they've got, you know, they're focused on what they need to do. And, you know, any conversation about stopping and changing that sort of train of thought can actually be, you know, seen as a bit of an annoyance or sort of, you know, derailing them. At the moment, people are very open to wanting to work with one another. So I really encourage you, it may not be right for what you have to offer, but I really encourage you as part of that mind mapping planning stage to think about just what that could be.
Jodie?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just interrupt for 1 minute. Just so Mackay Tourism have got campaigns, marketing campaigns sort of all ready to go once restrictions and that get lifted. So
Excellent.
we'll be doing a Zoom meeting sometime next week. So it'd be great for everyone to jump in on that because it'll be so easy for people to align with what we're doing to make that big regional message happen.
Yeah, perfect.
So that we'll be talking about who the target audiences and that are if people are a bit like confused as to who they should be targeting now. So we'll definitely be able to help everyone with that. And after this series, we've got a recovery series and we'll be taking small groups together and looking at packaging, bundling, all that sort of thing. But I can let everyone know about that later. There we go.
Yeah. Thanks, Chrissy. Yeah, look, that's absolutely perfect. And again, I really encourage you to look at what those campaigns are and how you can piggyback off them. You know, don't reinvent the wheel because, again, if there's some strength in what you can attach to the campaigns Mackay Tourism's doing, then it just helps to build that picture and sell that story. So, yeah, that's really great. Sell the experience and tell the story, which, you know, ties us into that, what we've just talked about. But, you know, stories share a real experience. You think about when, you know, a friend tells you a story about their trip. They're not just going through well, we arrived at this motel and it had 56 rooms and there was air conditioning and Wi-Fi. They're telling you all the incredible, amazing moments that they encountered. That's what I want you to tell with this. And when you base your content on that, the marketing efforts of stories to potential customers, it will just penetrate so much more deeply and connect with them on another level, rather than just the benefits and features of what you've got. So really, really, you know, I can't emphasize that one enough. Content is king. You know, again, I know Talita touched on some of this in her presentation too, but what I guess I want to say here is that just because you can doesn't mean you should. And what I mean by that is just because you've got 50 photos that you've snapped off on your phone or that you've been able to download something doesn't mean that's right to share every single thing that you've got there. Be really mindful about what it is that you're going to put up. And that comes back to, again, brand, aligning with the experience, making sure that it's meaningful what you're putting up and does it actually align with that story that you're going to tell. Content is sometimes, I mean, I'm sure you've all experienced the person that you've unfollowed because their content is just, you know, in your face all the time, and there's no real purpose or meaning behind it. So really, really think about what it is that you're going to put up. Take a moment to consider it. And look, we do social media calendars at Red Hot Blue. We do them for ourselves, we do them for our clients. And it's really important because while you can be flexible with social media, which is fantastic, it's also really great to have a pre-planned idea in advance so that you're not sort of scrabbling to find something to put up because you think, oh my gosh, I haven't put anything up for a few days now. Plan it out and, have a look at some of those touch points. Think about, what is it that we're doing behind the scenes that people might be interested in. If you are collaborating with someone, maybe sharing some of their content, it might be something out into the community. So think about all of the different touch points that are going to help to build that story. Which brings me to my next point, less can be more. And I know that might seem crazy, but quality over quantity is always the way to go. And I think that just means it shows that you have a confidence in also what you're delivering, and it shows that you have considered your brand and your story. Only give them the necessary information that they need. Like, don't overload them. One amazing picture is so much better than 5 really mediocre pictures. Because one great one that gets them excited leaves them wanting more rather than 5 that they think, I could take that or leave it. So less is more. Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS rule is what we go by. The other thing is make it easy. Make it easy for them to engage with you, make it easy for them to book, to find out more information, to connect with you, to understand your offering. The reality of it is that people are doing research, commenting, perhaps booking even when we're asleep. So that could be at 10, 11 o'clock at night, or it could be early hours in the morning, unless you're up with Chrissy with the birds at 4:30. But people are doing all sorts of things on digital platforms when we aren't even available. So we need to make sure that is really, really easy for them to connect with us, to find information, make it a positive experience. If it's too hard, and you would all know yourself, I've been through it where, you really want to perhaps book with someone or purchase from someone, but they just make it so difficult that you end up sort of leaving and going somewhere else. I wanted to share quickly, and it's an experience I had recently, and it really, for me, resonates how important that digital simplicity is. So we have a puppy, a 7-month-old Italian greyhound, so they don't have much fur, long gangly legs. And we decided that obviously with the cooler weather coming, we needed to get him some warm clothing. I Googled and searched. I had heard there were places that specifically made clothing for Italian greyhounds. Googled a few. They were really, clunky, not clear pictures, hard to deal with. And then I came across Royal Hound. Amazing in every way. Simple navigation of their website. Their photos were incredible. The, sizing chart was great. Place the order. And I actually just put in a little message. There was a little message box down the bottom and it said any special instructions. And I actually just said to them, I just want to congratulate you on a wonderful website. Place the order. Instantly, the next day I got a message back saying, thank you so much, Jodie, for taking the time to give us some positive feedback. All too often people are negative. And I went back off. And in that message, they also said, if you choose to order something again in the future, here's a 25% discount. So instantly, I'm feeling really special, really important to this customer. They don't know me from a bar of soap. I've placed one order with them. But from that simple interaction, we've now started a dialogue. Needless to say, we've been back and forward since. Arlo, who is our puppy, is now on their Facebook pages. I've continued to share their content. The garments arrived. They were exactly as they were on the pictures on the website. The packaging of it was perfect. It resonated with everything I'd seen with their brand online, transpired to the physical packaging of it. And yeah, I absolutely support this business 100% now, and actually have continued to share their content, to tell people about it like I am for you. So here's Mr. Arlo, just to give you an idea of him and his clothing. We think he looks like a bit of a gangster in the red tracksuit one. But what the point of this is that just such a simple experience by me being able to find everything I needed, and I was ordering these at 10 o'clock at night, so they weren't available for me to talk to, and them reaching out and continuing that conversation, great customer service, looking at how they could engage with me. I'm now an advocate of this business. So I guess that is the point, is just make this really, really simple, and think about some of those touch points that you could be doing when somebody does make contact with you. You know, is there some little great thing that you could send out to them to whet their appetite, you know, if they're not quite convinced yet? You know, can you point them, you know, to some of your social media platforms where you can start that engagement happening and turn them into advocates, so they too are sharing that content with you, with their people. So I just wanted to use that as an experience. And obviously you can imagine Arlo gets lots of looks when we're out walking about in Mackay in that gear. Consider your customers motivators. Like, what is going to motivate them at this point in time? You know, for some people, I guess, you know, their earnings haven't changed at all, and so they're desperate to get out and enjoy a holiday. For other people, it may have been a really, really tough time for them, you know, and they may have been reduced to one wage in the household, or really doing it tough. But I think it's really important to understand what each individual person's motivator is, and how you can align to what it is that they're looking for. You know, talk the talk, really make sure that you're understanding the space that they're in, because that is how you're going to get that engagement with them, and actually, you know, hopefully get them across the line and booking with you. This is anyone who works with us at Red Hot Blue knows, and I know we've got Emma there, will hear me say consistent, consistent, consistent. I can't preach this enough. It is so important. You will grow tired of your message. You will grow tired of your look and your style and your branding way before your customer will. But you've got to remember, again, in that busy landscape where people are being bombarded with information, the more consistent your messaging, the look, the style, your brand is, the more they're going to retain that information. So, yeah, don't be, I guess, it's all, people are often all too quick to look at perhaps what their competitors are doing. Obviously, it's important to understand where they're at, but don't chop and change because you think that there's a better way to do it. Have your plan, be true to your plan, you know, be committed to what you're doing, and stay consistent. Now, that's not forever, but for as long as what that next sector is going to be, what this next plan is going to be, don't deviate from what that is. Because again, you want to build continuity in people as they see it going, oh yeah, I remember that, I've seen that. And that can be things as simple as colours, fonts. It might be the style of the pictures or imagery you're using. It might be that you decide to do a humorous spin on something, and everything you do is going to have that sort of flavour to it. But just please, please, please be consistent. It's the one thing that I can't speak about enough. Stay committed to your story. It's a great one. Like, you are here because you are committed to your businesses, because you're committed to this industry. You wouldn't be tuning in to do this if you weren't. And I want to congratulate you all for taking the time to do that and to power on through such a tough time. But please stay committed to your story. You know, you started out doing what you're doing for a reason. And there's still a purpose and a reason beyond COVID-19. It's just getting through this hump, and it's a big hump, I understand. But again, keep to that plan, you know, tell that story and tell it well. So again, I guess I just want to recap on some of the things we've talked about, because there's a lot I know. Consider your brand. Take that time to stop and look. And your brand is more than just your logo. People often think your brand is your logo. Your brand is everything. It's from, you know, how a person arrives at the website and what they see on their social media, how somebody answers the phone, the style of like your waiting area, your materials that you're producing, the style of how you decide to advertise, you know, all of that is your brand. It all makes up, it's the personality of your business. So it's more than just a logo. Do that mind map. And when you do that mind map, I really want you to think about the now and the immediate future of what it is that you're going to look to do for people. Not what you were doing, not maybe what 12 months looks like, but let's look at the now and the immediate future. Make a plan. So get that plan in place. Have some steps in place as to what you're going to do. Really, really important. And in that plan, think about the things like what it is that you want to offer. You know, are you going to collaborate with someone? Is it going to be a special, you know, price that you're going to package up? Are you going to package something for them? And then also consider about how and when you're going to promote that to people. Make it easy. Make it really easy for people. The easier it is, the more likely they are going to be to connect, to book, to want to engage with you, and again, to be advocates for you. Be consistent, really, really important. And that's part of in that planning process, you know, be thinking about what it is that you're going to roll out and how you're going to do that. Oops. Oh, sorry, people. Tell your story well. Again, you know, don't just list off all the benefits and features, but really get into that emotional space, really connect with what it is that's going to excite people about wanting to come and do business with you. Change your thinking. And this is hard, you know, like, as I said, I've been in business for 23 years and myself and my whole team have been operating for 9 weeks now remotely from our homes. And that's a big change, especially, you know, in a creative agency where we're used to throwing ideas around, you know, across the room, very open space. It's how the ideas generate. We really had to dig deep and look at how we were going to make sure we could still maintain the same great experience for our customers, and also for me as a business owner, how was I going to make sure that my team continued to be engaged when they're so used to being amongst people. So change your thinking, and again, it's not forever, but I think the more you immerse in that thinking now, the better you will be, rather than trying to hold on to what was and what might be. That will come, but for now, think about the now. And again, less can be more. So I want you to have those hero images, those key stories to tell people. Don't inundate people with every single thing just because you've got it there, but actually think really, really consciously about what am I going to put up and what is it going to be saying about me. How are we going for time? Excellent. Okay, so I do have... I've got a little poll here again. I can get this to work. Yes. All right. So this one's about moving forward. You know, moving forward, how are you feeling? Do you have a plan and you know exactly what you're going to do? Do you maybe need to consider a different approach, or you don't feel you're in a position, you know, to make changes, which I can understand. Everybody? A few more. Okay. So that's great. You know, sort of just over half of you have got a plan, which is fantastic. And you know, stay committed to that plan. I mean, maybe revisit some of the things we've talked about here this morning, but really stay committed to that. I need to consider a different approach. Fantastic. This is the time where you can do that. I know, you know, it's been incredibly painful and you've been hurting and you're probably raring to go and get that message out there and get those customers back in. But take a moment, if you do feel like you need a different approach, take a moment to actually stop and think about, what can I do? How can I be innovative? And because you're going to have an array of things there to offer people. You sometimes just have to look at it through, you know, some different lenses. And that can be sometimes, you know, where maybe it's colleagues or some really good friends that know your brand well, know your offering well, can actually just be a bit of a sounding board to say, well, actually, this is how I see your business. This is how, if I was a customer, this is how I would be looking at it. So, you know, look at all of those different approaches. Really, really important. Thank you, everyone, for being honest with that. Right, now, I do have a video to share. Let's hope technology works, Chrissy. Can you just let me know, Chrissy, if you can see this? Because I know we had a few little issues yesterday.
Yeah.
So I need to new share. Hang on a minute. Sorry, people. If I stop that share. I go to this. Okay. Share. Now, can we see that? The video, Chrissy?
Yep, we can see it. Can you make that on
Full screen? Good?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
What is travel? Travel is a community. It is a collection of unparalleled experiences. It is everything from breathtaking natural wonders to sensory discovery, cultural exploration to incredible encounters with incredible people. Travel connects us. It challenges us. It is total relaxation to pure adrenaline. It is shared time to solo adventure. Travel gives us lifelong memories and the most amazing stories to tell. We cannot travel right now. Our health and safety is paramount. But even when we have to stay apart, travel can still bring us closer. So, from homes all around the world, let's keep the spark alive together. Join us as we gather together in travel and celebrate what travel means to each of us. Share your stories, your most prized memories, or greatest adventures. Your favorite images, videos, or the songs you've heard. Inspire and help others. Fuel their bucket lists and let them grow yours. Make us laugh or cry. Make our jaws drop or eyes widen. Let us support one another in this time. Keep the flame of travel burning and wanderlust alive. Because travel is a community. And that is how communities thrive.
So I'm just going to stop that share and see if I can go back to this one. Can you see that, Chrissy?
We can just see you at the moment.
Oh, okay. Share screen. Can you see that again?
Yes, where you're saying thank you, but just make it the full screen.
Yep. All good?
It's just black for the minute.
Hang on a minute. And new share. There we go. Good?
Yeah, you're smiling at us, saying thank you.
So I found that video actually after I'd put this presentation together, and I just felt it summed up every single component that I touched on in it. You know, when you look at that and you listen to it, it's about sharing those experiences, those memories. It's about how different travel and holidaying and tourism is for each individual person. And that's what I guess I really want you to sort of take away from this, is that, you know, rethink, reset your thinking. And let's look at how you take your offering out there to the marketplace with some different set of eyes, given that the things that have happened. And obviously this has been horrible, it's been challenging, but there's such opportunity ahead for you. And I guess I want you to be excited by that. So thank you very much for your time. I'm more than happy to answer any questions anybody's got. Please know, no question is a silly question. And yeah, and I wish you all the very, very best also. And I'm sure I'm going to see all of your businesses out there, you know, continuing to thrive, because, you know, you've got the goods to make that happen.